What's up guys, Chris Leda, welcome to my channel. This is just going to be a quick review of the preliminary assessment of the UAP report. So the UAP report came out and I'm going to run through just a quick reaction video. We'll read through the report. It's unfortunately very short and give you my initial thoughts on it. So here it is, Office of the Director of National Intelligence. Got this, I just Googled it and this is from dni.gov, so I assume it's correct. Office of the Director of National Intelligence, Preliminary Assessment, 25 June 2021. It's only 9 pages, so this isn't going to take that long. Okay, scope and assumptions. Scope, this preliminary report is provided by the Office of the Director of National Intelligence, so ODNI. And it was in response to the provision in Senate Report 116-233 accompanying the Intelligence Authorization Act for fiscal year 2021. So it wasn't in the COVID bill, or I don't know, maybe it was, but really it was, they were tasked, the DNI was tasked, in consultation with the Secretary of Defense, the SecDef, is to submit an intelligence assessment of the threat posed by UAPs, Unidentified Aerial Phenomena, and the progress the Department of Defense Unidentified Aerial Phenomena Task Force has made in understanding this threat. So it's from the Intelligence Authorization Act for fiscal year 2021 that required this. Their assumptions are various forms of sensors that register UAP generally operate correctly and capture enough real data to allow initial assessments, but some UAP may be attributable to sensor anomalies. Okay, so they're assuming that they're operating correctly, the sensors. Executive summary for the 9-page report. The limited amount of high-quality reporting on unidentified aerial phenomena hampers our ability to draw firm conclusions about the nature or intent of UAP. So they still don't know what it is what they're saying. So the UAP task force considered a range of information on UAP described in U.S. military and intelligence community reporting, but because the reporting lacked sufficient specificity, ultimately recognized that a unique, tailored reporting process was required to provide sufficient data for analysis of UAP events. So they're saying is they need to come up with a process to analyze the process of processing UAP reports. As a result, the UAP Task Force concentrated its review on reports that occurred between 2004 and 2021, the majority of which are a result of this new tailored process to better capture UAP events through formalized reporting. Great. Most of the UAP reporting probably do represent physical objects, given that a majority of UAP were registered across multiple sensors to include radar, infrared, electro-optical, weapon seekers, and visual observation. So that is a pretty strong statement. Most of the UAP probably do represent physical objects. Probably do represent physical objects. Okay, so that means that narrows it down into these. So there is a real object out there because you have multiple sensors. In a limited number of incidents, UAP reportedly appeared to exhibit unusual flight characteristics. These observations could be the result of sensor errors, spoofing, or observer misperception and require additional rigorous analysis. A limited number of incidents, they have 18, what I see later. So still quite a few. There are probably multiple types of UAP requiring different explanations based on the range of appearances and behaviors described in the available reporting. This is very interesting. I remember Ryan Graves mentioned this in one of his podcasts, is there's so many different types of craft, you know, or the objects are very different. You know, even just those 3 pictures from the Navy pilots were different, quite different, and then the Tic Tac, and then so very interesting. Our analysis of the data supports the construct that if and when individual UAP incidents are resolved, they will fall into one of 5 potential explanatory categories. I love this. They spend so much time talking about these categories, man. Who cares? All right. Well, anyway. Airborne clutter, natural atmospheric phenomena, U.S. government or U.S. industry developmental programs, is like your secret stuff, foreign adversary systems, so enemy stuff, and a catch-all other bin. Other. So this is airborne clutter, and then they go through another whole page and define this. Okay, great. Next, UAP clearly poses a safety of flight issue and may pose a challenge to U.S. national security. So that's pretty clear right there. UAP clearly pose a safety of flight issue. Not that they could pose a safety of flight issue or there may be a safety, no, clearly pose a safety of flight issue and may pose a challenge to U.S. national security. So I don't know what that means really. May pose a challenge to U.S. national security. Safety concerns primarily center on aviators contending with an increasingly cluttered air domain. UAP would also represent a national security challenge if they are foreign adversary collection platforms or provide evidence of potential adversaries developed either a breakthrough or disruptive technology. This is why they probably were able to get the report into the bill. So very interesting there. UAP clearly pose a safety of flight issue. Consistent consolidation of reports from across the federal government, standardized reporting, increased collection and analysis, and a streamlined process for screening all such reports against a broad range of relevant U.S. government data will allow for a more sophisticated analysis of UAP that is likely to deepen our understanding. Some of these steps are resource intensive and will require additional investment. Okay, great. That's where they're thinking about the future. Available reporting largely inconclusive. Limited data leaves most UAP unexplained. So how do they still not know? They have multiple data sensors. Come on, guys. Limited data and inconsistency in reporting are key challenges to evaluating UAP. No standardized reporting mechanism existed until the Navy established one in March 2019, of course. The Air Force subsequently adopted that mechanism in November 2020, a way to hop on the bandwagon at the last minute, but it remains limited to U.S. government reporting. The UAP Task Force regularly heard anecdotally during its research about other observations that occurred, but which were never captured in formal and informal reporting by those observers. Okay. After carefully considering this information, the UAP Task Force focused on reports that involved UAP largely witnessed firsthand by military aviators and that were collected from systems we considered to be reliable. These reports describe incidents that occurred between 2004 and 2021, with the majority coming in the last 2 years as the new reporting mechanism became better known to the military aviation community. We were able to identify one reported UAP with high confidence. In that case, we identified the object as a large deflating balloon. They did it. The others remained unexplained. So out of all their stuff, they were able to identify one as a large deflating balloon. But 144 reports originated from U.S. government sources. Out of those 144, 80 reports involved observation with multiple sensors. So that's very key. That's a big point of information here. 80 reports involved observation with multiple sensors. So it's not just, you can't just attribute it to, an airliner at 12 miles. If we have radar data picking up that there's an object at 2 miles. The reports that involve multiple sensors are very, very important, I think. One other key point. Most reports describe UAP as objects that interrupted pre-planning training or other military activity. This section is really interesting as well. When I first went to do the recording, I actually skipped over this section. I think it's like just so ingrained into our psyche, right? The UAP collection challenges. And they even highlighted it. And I was like, well, this just means that they feel bad about it. But this is a serious issue, right? Let's look at it. Sociocultural stigmas and sensor limitations remain obstacles to collecting data on UAP. Although some technical challenges, such as how to appropriately filter out radar clutter to ensure safety of flight for military and civilian aircraft, are long-standing in the aviation community, while others are unique to the UAP problem set. Narratives from aviators in the operational community and analysts from the military and IC describe disparagement associated with observing UAP, reporting it, or attempting to discuss it with colleagues. Although the effects of these stigmas have lessened as senior members of the scientific, policy, military, and intelligence communities engage on the topic seriously in public, reputational risks may keep many observers silent, complicating scientific pursuit of the topic. This is undoubtedly an issue, undoubtedly. About even just on a YouTube channel. If any other fighter pilots had a YouTube channel, they would have to consider seriously their reputation if they came out and said, yeah, I'm analyzing these UAP videos. Luckily, I don't care about my reputation. So in this case, it is difficult, but they need to talk about it. The sensors mounted on U.S. military platforms are typically designed to fulfill specific missions. As a result, those sensors are not generally suited for identifying UAP. That's very true. Everyone keeps complaining. I see all these comments complaining on the blurry images and, why can't we get a good picture? It's, we didn't build and design these things to go take pretty pictures of things. It was really usually to shoot something, destroy something. So it was tasked for a specific purpose. And we do have pictures. Joe Scott says, where do I get a picture with an iPhone? And I showed 3 pictures with an iPhone in this video. Sensor vantage points and the numbers of sensors concurrently observing an object play substantial roles in distinguishing UAP from known objects and determining whether UAP demonstrates breakthrough aerospace capabilities. Optical sensors have the benefit of providing some insight into relative size, shape, and structure. So that's what I've been doing with mill sizing. Okay, this is an optical sensor, the IR or your MEGs to some extent. Radio frequency sensors provide more accurate velocity and range information. So that's why we actually combine both systems to get a final solution, which is, where is it going to be when this projectile gets to that location? So interesting, I glossed over this as well when I first went through it and had to re-record this section. So even in my own brain, I have self-censoring going on, as I'm sure we all do. All right, moving on. But some potential patterns do emerge. Although there was wide variability in the reports and the data set is currently too limited to allow for detailed trends or pattern analysis, there was some clustering of unexplained aerial phenomena observations regarding shape, size, and particularly propulsion. So some clustering. UAP sightings also tended to cluster on U.S. training and testing grounds, but we assess that this may result from a collection bias. As a result of focused attention, greater numbers of latest generation sensors operating in those areas unit expectations and guidance to report anomalies. And a handful of UAP appear to demonstrate advanced technology, okay? In 18 incidents described in 21 reports, so 18 incidents, observers reported unusual UAP movement patterns or flight characteristics. Some UAP appeared to remain stationary in winds aloft, move against the wind, maneuver abruptly, or move at considerable speed without discernible means of propulsion. In a small number of cases, military aircraft systems possessed radio frequency energy associated with UAP sightings. So they're also getting energy emissions. The UAP task force holds a small amount of data that appear to show UAP demonstrating acceleration or degree of signature management. Signature management is what you appear to other sensors, so cloaking. Additional rigorous analysis are necessary by multiple teams or groups of technical experts to determine the nature and validity of these data. We are conducting further analysis to determine if breakthrough technologies were demonstrated, so unknown. But they think there was breakthrough technologies. And they think we need to really look at the data, but then they don't give the data out. They say, wow, we really, additional rigorous analysis by multiple teams or groups. But they won't hand it out, will they, freely? UAP probably lack a single explanation. The UAP documented this limited data set demonstrating an array of aerial behaviors, reinforcing the possibility there are multiple types of UAP requiring different explanations. Our analysis of the data supports the construct that if and when individual UAP incidents are resolved, they will fall into one of 5 potential explanatory categories. Okay, this is where they go through all these things, all right? Okay, so they go through airborne clutters, like stuff in the air, like maybe plastic bags, like new radars are bouncing off of that. Natural atmospheric phenomena includes ice crystals, moisture, thermal fluctuations that may register on some IR radar systems. Developmental programs. This one is interesting, right? So some UAP observations could be attributable to developments in classified programs by U.S. entities. We were unable to confirm, however, that these systems accounted for any of the UAP reports we collected. So they couldn't confirm it or not, from what I understand. Foreign adversary systems. Some UAP may be technologies deployed by China, Russia, another nation, or non-governmental entity. Is it? I mean, other. Although most of the UAP described in our dataset probably remain unidentified due to limited data or challenges to collecting, we may require additional scientific knowledge to successfully collect on, analyze, and characterize some of them. We would group some objects in this category pending scientific advances that allowed us to better understand them. The UAP task force intends to focus additional analysis on a small number of cases where a UAP appeared to display unusual flight characteristics or signature management. So they're going to focus on those. There's 18 of them. UAP pose a hazard to safety of flight and could pose a broader danger if some instances represent a sophisticated collection against U.S. military activities by a foreign government or demonstrate a breakthrough aerospace technology by a potential adversary, threaten flight safety and possibly national security, ongoing aerospace concerns. This is another interesting area. When aviators encounter safety hazards, they're required to report these concerns. So if you have a near midair, you have to file a safety report. Depending on the location, volume, and behavior of hazards during incursions on ranges, pilots may cease their tests or training and land their aircraft, which has a deterrent effect on reporting. The UAP task force has 11 reports of documented instances in which pilots reported near misses with the UAP. So this is interesting. So where they almost had to avoid it or came too close, there's 11 reports where I'm guessing the pilots were visual with these things and had to actually maneuver out of the way. Otherwise, I guess they could be told they're merging with something. If the radar is tracking it, that could be an issue, but there's 11 reports of documented instances. So this is pretty interesting right here. It's quite a bit of information. Potential national security challenges. We currently lack data to indicate any UAP are part of a foreign collection program or indicative of a major technological advancement by a potential adversary. So interesting. We continue to monitor for evidence of such programs given the counterintelligence challenge they would pose, particularly as some UAP have been detected near military facilities or by aircraft carrying the U.S. government's most advanced sensor system. So they're saying we don't at least have any data indicating it's part of a foreign collection program. Explaining UAP will require analytic collection and resource investment. So now they go through basically in line with provisions. Yeah, we just need to step up our process. We need to analyze our process for processing our process. A majority of UAP data is from the U.S. Navy. Okay, so the Air Force started in November 2020. How that's surprising, right when this was required. FAA does capture data related to UAP during normal course of managing air traffic ingest this data. FAA generally ingests this data. In addition, the FAA continuously monitors its systems for anomalies, generating additional information. Are they passing that information? That may be of use. The FAA is able to isolate data of interest. Yes, they are. Are they doing it? And make it available. The FAA is a robust and effective outreach program that can help the UAP task force reach members of the aviation community to highlight the importance of reporting UAP. Doesn't mean they're doing it, right? Expand collection. They're looking for novel ways to increase collection of UAP cluster areas when U.S. forces are not present as a way to baseline standard UAP activity and mitigate the collection bias in the data set. Great. I mean, invest in some of these programs. I saw one was shared on the Discord. Increase investment in research and development. So basically they're saying they don't know. And that's it. That's basically the end of the report. We have some appendixes. I love this appendix. Okay, and then it goes to Appendix B, which is what was required. So Senate report accompanying the Intelligence Authorization Act for fiscal year 2021. Senate report 116-233 accompanying the Intelligence Authorization Act for fiscal year 2021 provides that the DNI, in consultation with the SecDef, other relative heads of the U.S. government agency, is to submit an intelligence assessment of the threat posed. This is what they're supposed to do. And this is what it's supposed to be in the report. Specifically requested detailed analysis held by the Office of Naval Intelligence, including intelligence reporting by the UAP Task Force, a detailed analysis of unidentified by all these people. Was any of this information released at all? A detailed analysis of data by the FBI. Does the FBI have any information? I guess there is quite a bit of information in the report. The things I really went to were the numbers. Okay, so they put in bold 144 reports, 80 of them from multiple sensors. That's huge, right? So now it's not just somebody seeing it. It's also we have radar data, or we have IR data, or we have radar hitting something, and now we can see it with the IR sensor. That's pretty cool. But where's the information, you know? Where is it? Where are the reports? Release more than 20 seconds. Those are leaks, you know? If you look at what was released in Desert Storm, targeting pod, I mean, so there's no problem. We can just show, you know, buildings getting destroyed all the time. But if we want to release any information about actual UAPs here, now all of a sudden we can't release our targeting pod footage, right? In 18 incidents described in 21 reports, observers reported unusual UAP movement patterns or flight characteristics. So out of those 80, in 18 of them, well, I guess out of the total amount, 18 of them reported unusual movement patterns. And then the other thing I think is interesting is they have 11 reports of documented instances in which pilots reported near misses with the UAP. These should be, we know they're visual with it, so what did the pilots see? What are they? That shouldn't be classified, you know, what these pilots just saw. I don't see how that gives away any of our vulnerabilities. So where's the other 191 pages? You know, it feels like a 200-page report. It is nice. I feel like they're releasing some information, but this is really just a preliminary. I was hoping to see a lot more information. Marco Rubio said that if there's anything spicy, it would get leaked. That was what he said. If the way politics is now, if there's anything spicy from the report, it will be leaked. But, you know, how about we just get something legitimate? Send something out. You guys don't know what it is. Send it to the group. You've seen there's very smart people on all sides of the debate. Release the information, you know, some of it. Overall, I'm happy this report exists. Definitely, it does confirm they don't know what it is, and they have a lot more data. So it is exciting. You know, that's 80 incidents. That's a lot where you have multiple sensors. So to make any sort of statistical analysis, we just need 30 data points, and now you can prove mathematically that certain things are probably correct. So pretty amazing. I hope they release this data. Great first start. You know, it is tough releasing information, and I'm glad they did it, but you know, just release more. It'll be okay. It'll work out. And then we can figure out what these things actually are. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please remember to like and subscribe. I really appreciate all the support. Have a great day. Take care. Peace.